Guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I got a story for you. This story is out of Ypsilanti Township, Michigan. Shout out Ypsilanti Township. And in videos before, I talked about, having grown men, regardless if they're family members or not, living in your home, when they should be out there making a way for themselves, how tragic it can be. But sometimes there are, reasons for this. Today, I'm going to tell you about a tale of a 73-year-old woman who was a grandmother who had her 29-year-old son named Robert Fleming. Not pictured. There's no picture of him or the grandmother. And this guy's under arrest with open murder charges because his grandma, who has been missing for days, and a welfare check discovered he had buried her in the backyard. I don't know why people would do this to somebody they love or somebody that's a family member, but this guy's locked up, and here's the story. Let's check it out and come back and do what we do.
The lights are on inside this single-family home on Warner in Ypsilanti Township, but it is eerily quiet after the shocking discovery of the 73-year-old homeowner, a grandmother, buried in her own backyard. Her 29-year-old grandson is now in custody.
I just can't believe it. It's just a quiet neighborhood. Theodora's a great neighbor, and I just never seen any trouble around or anything.
We spoke to a neighbor who didn't want to reveal his identity because he is still in disbelief. The Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office says this began as a welfare check for the grandmother on Thursday. A sheriff's deputy didn't find the homeowner, but saw her grandson sleeping.
To the deputy's credit, he did some pretty thorough investigation. He noticed and recognized something a little bit off in the backyard, what looked like a freshly dug grave. It's really difficult to put into words sometimes unconscionable things that happen, regardless of the circumstances around it. Someone lost their life. And it's our job to really gather the facts, and hopefully the small bit that we can do to bring justice and some closure to the family is really what our role is at this particular point.
The grandson, Ronald Fleming, faces an open murder charge. Police say that he was living with his grandmother, but haven't said why she ended up buried in her backyard or how she died. The neighbor we spoke to says seeing the home so quiet makes the unthinkable feel more real and heartbreaking.
Like, she's a retired lady. She was home most of the time with her. She used to have 2 dogs. She just had the one recently. She's, like when our power or water would be out, she's the person I would contact, be like, hey, is your water out too?
Did you have any interactions with her grandson at all?
Nope, just waving. Like sometimes he'd be sitting on the porch with her, or like we'd both be out mowing at the same time.
All right, guys, that's the story of Ronald Fleming, 29 years old, grandson, on charges of open murder of his 73-year-old grandmother who he buried in the backyard. Now, the news article up here says, still unclear why the woman was buried or how she died, but it was enough when they found that body to determine that she was murdered, and he's charged with it. Said the woman was retired, stayed at home most of the time, had 2 dogs. Now, usually stories like this, for the most part, I'll say something about, hey, you shouldn't have nobody staying with you. A grown man need to be on his own, establishing his own self. Sometimes it's different, and there's the exceptions, like this. This woman's 73 years old. They said she was homeless at one time. Nobody knows what ailment she had or, what condition she was in. It says she could move around, but still, at 73 years old, nowadays, for a woman living by herself, it's very, very dangerous. So her having a son in the house, I really don't have nothing to say about that, because she should have some type of man or young man or anybody in the house in case something goes wrong. She could slip and fall, so on and so forth. You guys know where I'm going with this. But I mean, this guy is charged with murdering her. And I'm sure she got some type of Social Security checks or something like that. What was his plan? He was going to keep the checks? I mean, that's just one thing. But I mean, what is in you to kill your grandmother, your mother's mother you killed, or your father's mother? Either way, if that person didn't exist, you wouldn't be here. Nobody knows what make people do this stuff. Maybe it's just selfishness. I think it surrounds selfishness and immaturity. But I mean, obviously he didn't have no plan after he took the life of this woman, because he buried her right next to the house in the backyard. Like, you come out the door, she's right there. You put your grandmother in the dirt. Nothing went through your mind when you came up with that plan and started throwing the first shovel of dirt back on her face? So the grandson lived at home on and off. So that right there lets me know that she was staying by herself sometimes. And him staying there, I guess the helper was more of a convenience for him than really helping her. See, it's the thing. A lot of times parents feel guilt when they have grandchildren, and depending on the upbringing or what they went through with their parent, their mother or father, whatever, sometimes grandparents unconditionally love their kids. They love their kids even more sometimes. Like, this is one of them cases. It said a welfare check she was missing for several days. Said the responding deputy didn't see anything amiss when he arrived at the house on May 17th. But after noticing something looked off in the backyard, the sheriff's officer broadened his search, eventually making a grisly discovery. It said he was in court for the first time yesterday, which was Monday, when he was arraigned on an open murder charge. So I guess an open murder charge means we know you did it. We don't know how you did it, but you did it. So we'll see how they go. But they said, it's a quiet neighborhood, and they can't believe something like this happened. Here's another thing, too. Why people do that all the time? This is a quiet neighborhood. We never thought anything would happen here. Listen, it's bad around the world, and there's danger everywhere. Nowadays, the monsters are coming to your front door in a quiet neighborhood. The reason why they come in them neighborhoods is because they quiet, and nobody suspects anything. We got to stop saying that. I think that's just a cliche statement that a lot of people make, in reference of a neighborhood that they want to say is a nice neighborhood. But man, either way, man, this is a tragedy. I mean, I could never imagine. See, and that's the thing. A lot of young people out here, age catches us all. We live long enough. I'm 51. 20 years, I don't know how my health will be. Now, I've been blessed so far to not have any type of diseases or any type of sickness or anything like that that enables me from enjoying my life to the fullest. But 20 years from now, I don't know where I'll be and who I'll be. There's things in my DNA that ain't kicked in yet. Yours as well. That's why when people act like, they're an island and they don't need no help and they go around in life shitting on people, comes a time you're going to need somebody. And you don't know how they're going to remember you, or, if they even want to deal with you because they're young trying to live their lives. This guy right here is totally out of line. And like I said before, conflict resolution. You can always remove yourself from a situation. I don't see no 73-year-old woman grabbing you and saying, hey, you stay here and listen to what I'm saying. You ain't leaving this house. It's a lot of childish minds in man. I think this is one of them. He could have walked out that door. Hell, I'm a 30-year-old man, 29-year-old man. I ain't got to take this. But if he was doing what he was supposed to do, he wouldn't have been in position anyway to have to go back to her house off and on. That's the thing about older men. Not all of them, but I mean, younger men, that are up in age, 29, 30 years old, they should have themselves established. They should have some type of skill, something that they can use that makes them useful, not just to their family, but to society. And they should be trustworthy. But it's not like that no more. And things like this happen and will continue to happen and increase in happening as long as people still feel guilt for grown-ass men, and when they feel as though they're obligated to help them, not help themselves. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. May this lady rest in peace. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.